Hello everyone, I'm here today to share with you my action plan from the data that I collected. What the action plan will involve is working with English language learners and helping them to learn vocabulary through direct instruction. I will be working with a group of students on my own, and I will also have other helpers in the room as well, working on different skills and different vocabulary based on the assessments that I had given. I initially used a bad case of stripes and used some vocabulary in there that is not always common to like in speech and in just plain English, and more academic words and vocabulary that they could need help with. So I'm gonna have like helpers. I'm going to be working with groups specifically on vocabulary that they're going to need to be successful in not always just their academic life, but also their everyday life and going out into the community and being able to use English and feel confident in that ability. An overview of the data that I used to create my action plan is I tested two different groups. I had one group listen to the book, A Bad Case of Stripes, and through a teacher. And the teacher would go through and point out the vocabulary that might not be familiar to them. And that's how they work through the vocabulary. I did a pre-assessment first to kind of test which of vocabulary they might already be familiar with, things like that. So through that pre-assessment, I gathered the data on, what words, how many words they knew before the teacher read action. So then that way I could see their growth at the end of the reading of the book. And then I had another group who just listened to a YouTube video of the book being read. And through that being done, I gave each of the groups, the group that listened to the teacher reading the book and through the YouTube video reading the book. I tested them on the same vocabulary, gave them both groups the same assessment to see which group made more growth. I had a feeling that it would be the teacher because the teacher was there to explain vocabulary that was unfamiliar, whereas the YouTube video, they just strictly listened to the YouTube video, listened to how the vocabulary was used, but really didn't have anybody to explain it. So what I saw through my data was that the teacher-led instruction was I saw more growth. Although I did see a little bit of growth in the YouTube video as well. I saw a lot more growth with the teacher-led instruction, which led me to believe that that is a better strategy to use when teaching English language learners vocabulary. And the stakeholders, which is you, I will have one group working on specific vocabulary from the book. I will have one group working on maybe some vocabulary games that will help stimulate their learning and the repetition of these words so they're able to gain more vocabulary. And some of the resources we'll use is that same book and work on the vocabulary, especially for those who didn't gain as much from even the teacher-led instruction, just kind of helping them be able to understand it more, be able to use it more through games, through different resources that have that vocabulary. Once we see that they have mastered that vocabulary, we will move on to more difficult things. So I'll probably have 2 or 3 assistants in the room helping me work with small groups to really hone in on the skills that these students need, because I know the more vocabulary they know, the more they're going to be able to speak, the more they're going to be able to do. And I believe that that's going to be so helpful for them in their future, especially living in the United States where English is the main language spoken. And I can know how confusing it can be to be in a country where you don't understand the language, where you have to rely on somebody else to speak for you. And I want them to be able to go out into the community, to be able to, in school, to be able to be more effective in their learning by knowing this English vocabulary and being able to use it and apply it and just for even their classroom teachers to be able to see growth in them, in their English vocabulary and the way they're able to understand it and use it, like by writing papers, by reading books, by talking to their peers, just in their interactions, being able to see a difference. Like, as I explained to you, some of the benefits of that is just the confidence of the students and seeing that vocabulary growth, them being able to hold conversations, them being able to use it in their academic life, out in the community. I believe that it will help these students be more successful in their overall life and be able to go out and get jobs where they need to speak English, be able to even translate for other people who may still be learning English, that they could be able to help their parents, their peers, just for them to be able to feel that level of confidence and to be successful in an English speaking world where I know it can be confusing, because I am also learning Japanese and I understand how hard it is to learn a language that is not very familiar to you. So that's my goal, and the kind of the timetable for the implementation of this plan is to kind of do it over a semester and kind of see what growth we can see over a semester and see if the methods we are using are effective, and if we need to change anything, what kind of growth we see in the students, and then we'll move forward from there and tweak things and change things as needed. But I believe that we will see a lot of growth in these students and that they will become more confident in their English speaking abilities and their vocabulary growth.